Hey there. Today I was going to talk with you guys about your spiritual gifts. Now, what do I mean about spiritual gifts? First of all, I think every gift, every talent that any of us have are a gift of spirit. But the reason I wanted to talk in particular and call them spiritual gifts is because I see something a lot in my work with clients. And I work with a lot of women, and I have worked with men in the past as well, and they share often a commonality. And what is that? That's a certain sensitivity. Hey Liz, good to see you. A sensitivity that I believe is a spiritual gift. But what happens is their sensitivity is getting in the way of them being able to fully see all of their gifts and fully believe in themselves and fully really go for the dream that they have in their heart. And why is that? Because a lot of the people that I work with in my work, in my readings, in my coaching, have a lot of similar traits to me. They're sensitive, they're kind, they're compassionate, they're empathic, they're generous. Hey, Barbara. And while it's a wonderful thing to be so sensitive, a lot of times their sensitivity is getting in the way because they're becoming too connected to other people. They're allowing other people's feelings and emotions and troubles and problems to interfere with their own sense of balance and well-being. But what I really want to emphasize today is that your sensitivity is a gift. It's a spiritual gift. Like I said at the beginning, every gift is a gift of spirit. But I want to help you understand how your sensitivity is actually a gift and how you can work with your sensitivity so that it doesn't overwhelm you, so that you're not hiding out, so that you get to a place where you feel stronger and more willing to kind of come out in the world more with your gifts. And that's why I wanted to do this talk today about your spiritual gifts. See, what happens is when we're so sensitive is maybe you recognize yourself in this. You may be very sensitive to sounds or smells, or you may be sensitive to crowds or loud noises, okay? That's one sign of sensitivity. Another sign of sensitivity is you're very empathic. If somebody is upset, you can feel their emotions. If somebody's crying or angry, you can feel their emotions. It's like you're this energetic sponge where you can feel not only the energy, but the feelings and the emotions of other people around you. And what happens is when we don't have a good foundation of knowing how to separate or how to release those feelings and those emotions and other people's stuff, it can really throw us off center and off balance. And we can become overwhelmed. We can become drained and fatigued. We can become really confused or not have a sense of direction about our own life because we're putting other people first. We're putting other people at the top of our list, and we're at the bottom of our list. And then when it comes time to maybe hopefully have time to devote to those things that we really want to do, we're just completely, we're tired. We're overwhelmed. We don't even want to think about it. We just want to zone out because we're trying to zone out everything that our sensitivity is taken in around us. And what I was kind of drawing these things before this, and I was going to show you this. See, what happens is, I just kind of drew it to show you. This is your sensitivity. And this is you, right? This is other people, their feelings. What you want to do is get really centered within yourself and your own soul. And that needs to be, notice how I made that bigger? Yourself and your soul need to be front and center and more prominent, more important to you than this stuff in terms of other people's stuff that's getting in the way. And then what happens is when you can really come from this foundational place, what happens is you have time and energy for your gifts. And then your sensitivity really becomes the gift that it was meant to be instead of overwhelming you. So let's talk about that. Okay, I said I would share some examples of how I've learned to overcome when I'm in doubt and I'm in fear, and how I've learned to trust spirit and how I've learned to trust myself. It's been a process, it's been a journey. I'm still on that journey, right? I'm still on walking that path. But what I've learned to do is to do that. I had to get centered in myself, and I had to get more connected to what I call my spiritual self or my own soul, and come from that foundational place. And then I could actually begin to use my sensitivity, open to my sensitivity, instead of hiding out from it or the world, or having to constantly kind of create this shield because I was so overwhelmed by everything I was feeling or other people. And I don't know if any of you who watching this or who will watch the recording have had this experience, but I know a lot of my clients have had this issue in their lives of being so super sensitive. Okay, so I'm going to talk with you about some tips to help you with that. And then I'm going to talk with you about the gifts of that sensitivity, what that really means. Okay, so you're going to see me looking down because I have some notes that I wrote some things down I don't want to forget. I'm going to just go off. I'm going to name some like 10 different things that I do. There's a lot of other things that I do. There may be things you do. You may like some of these things, you may not. And then I want to guide you briefly using one of these things that I do to help you feel your center. Okay. So one of the first things that I do is I've learned to go into the center of my being, the center of myself, and I use my breath a lot. And I get myself grounded, centered, and I release. I release stress, I release worry, I release other people's emotions, I release problems. So that's after I talk about this, I'm going to guide you into that. Okay. So that's what I do is I feel, I release, and I use the breath a lot. Okay. So that's one of the things I'm going to guide you to in a moment. Another thing I do, and I've talked about this in some other lives, is I call light to me. You know, light is light from source, from spirit. I'll call light to me and I'll just imagine it clearing my aura, clearing my physical body, just releasing that out of my body. I do that. That's one of the things I can do. It can be quick, it can be fast. It's not something that you have to sit and do for 20 minutes. You can, but you don't have to. So that's another thing I do. Another thing I do, and I mention this a lot, is I'll write about it. Okay, if I need to get centered, get my mind clear, sometimes I find that writing out things helps me get clear. So that's another thing I do. Another thing I do that you may like is I'll do something creative. So I like to draw or maybe paint or write. Some of you might like to play music. You might like to dance. Music is really powerful. I use music a lot. Anything that can get you creative in the moment, get you in touch with your heart, that helps. Okay. Another thing I've learned to do, and maybe some of you have done this, is I'll go to a positive memory. I'll go to somewhere in my mind, in my imagination, I'll go back to a moment in time that's a positive memory, and then I'll feel into the emotion of that. I really feel the emotion of that, and then I bring that emotion into my physical body. So one of the things I've done in learning mediumship is connecting with loved ones on the other side. To really be able to connect in mediumship, I have to be able to relax, let go, and trust spirit. And the mind wants to get in the way. And the mind can come in and doubt, or to say, you know, that's probably not right. You're making this up, right? The mind chatter. So one of the things I've started doing for me is I'll go to a memory of being at the beach with really warm, clear water, and I'll just put myself in that experience where I feel the warm sand under my feet. I'll feel the warm water of the ocean, and I'll just feel that feeling of deep relaxation. And I bring that feeling up into my body, and I'll do that in preparation right before I do a reading. And I found that that helps me relax. Okay, so anything that you can do to help you relax. Another thing I've done and I talked about this in the last live, is I've been doing this for probably, gosh, at least 11 years or more, probably actually more than that, but really consistently when I get into that place of needing to shift myself, is I start writing out I am statements. And by that, why are you writing I am? You're writing in the present moment, the present tense, because your subconscious, right, doesn't know the difference between your imagination and what's actually happening. And the more that you can really begin to embody the feeling of whatever you want to feel, the more that you can shift. So an I am statement for me would be, I will write, I am grateful for, or I am so happy about whatever. I am so loved, or I am so blessed. I am peaceful, whatever that is, for you, but I'll write it in present tense as an I am statement to remind myself that I am this, right? Regardless of anything external going on around me, I am essentially this. Another thing I do, a lot of you have probably heard of this, and I do this too, is writing out a gratitude list. And writing it out, things that you're grateful for in your life or people that you're grateful for. And sometimes when I think about in the future, things that I want, things that I'm hoping for, I'll write out, also, I am so grateful for this experience, or I am so grateful for this and this. Even if it hasn't happened yet, I'll write it out present tense as if it's actually happening. And I'll write those statements over and over again. I've done it for places when I wanted to change particular places where I've lived, or certain situations or relationships. I'll write that out. I am so grateful for, or I so love this, because I'm training and teaching myself to really embody that present time feeling, okay? Another thing I'll do is if I'm in doubt or fear and I'm off in the future worrying about something, is I'll bring it back to the present tense and I'll focus on the why I'm doing something. I'll focus on service and what I'm trying to give out to another, how I'm trying to help someone else or other people. And I'll bring it back into service, into the why. So it kind of gets me out of the picture and gets me into the bigger reason of why I'm doing something. And that really helps. And then the last thing that I was going to mention that I do, that I really encourage you to do, is to write out your strengths. Because a lot of times when we're in fear or we're in doubt, we're questioning our gifts. We're questioning, is this really a gift I have? Is this really a talent? And what I've done is I will remind myself of strengths that I have. And sometimes I'll literally write them down to help counter the mind that is in fear, or the mind that is the inner critic part of me. Is I'll write out whatever those strengths are, okay? And I'll remind myself of that. All of those things I do to help me shift and get out of fear, get out of doubt. And the other thing I do, and this is something that you can do if you so choose, if this is aligned with your beliefs, is I will pray and I will ask God, I will ask the divine, I will ask my guides, angels, I'll even sometimes call on my loved ones on the other side, and I'll ask them to send me light, send me love, send me strength, send me support. And that can help calm me as well. That's one thing I've done for years, is prayer. And then I just allow myself to go into a moment of trust, and just trust that that prayer has been heard and it will be answered in whatever way. And I know as a medium, I've done lots of readings where their loved ones will say to me, and I'll say to the person that I'm doing the reading for, your loved one has heard your prayers. This is what you've been praying about. So I know as a medium, those answers are heard on the other side. That's why I want to share that with you, okay? So right now, what I'd like to do is take you through very briefly one of those things that I do to help me get centered and calm and to shift myself. And that's going into my center. So if you're watching live or watching this recording, and if it feels comfortable for you, you can close your eyes, keep your eyes open, it doesn't matter. I like to close my eyes. And what I do, I'm going to guide you to do, is just take a breath at this moment and begin to go into the center of your being. And for me, that's my abdomen, that's right below my chest, right above my belly button, and I'll go right there into the center of my body. And I'm just guiding you now to go into the center of your being. And begin to feel your power there, right? That's connected to your third chakra, your power center. And begin to feel your strength and your power. And just continue to breathe in, and on the out breath, just releasing any concerns, any mind chatter, any worries, just let it go on the out breath. And as you breathe in, just go deeper and deeper into the center of your being, feeling your strength and your power. And now begin to build this power up. Build it up. Just feel and imagine yourself building up your power. And now take this power that lives in the center of your being and now begin to send it out to the rest of your body. Send it out to the cells in your body, the top of your head, to the bottom of your feet. Just send this power out through every cell in your body. And now expand this power even beyond your physical body into your energy field or your aura. This is the invisible energy field that surrounds your body. And just fill that energy field with this power. And now if it feels comfortable to you, call in divine love and assistance now. And call that love into your heart. And just like you did with your power, build this love up inside of your heart. Feeling it grow and expand. Send this love to each and every cell in your body. Every part of your body. Just allow this love to expand and to grow. And now take this love that you've allowed to grow inside your heart and just begin to send this love out to others. And you can send this love to as few or as many people as you would like. And feel from your heart out to others this love growing, expanding, and reaching out to others. And what you may notice, if you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes back up, is maybe you've noticed a little bit more calm come over you. Maybe you feel a little bit more clear or centered in yourself from doing that. And that's one of the things I've started really doing a lot more in my life, is to go into my power center, go into my heart, and I first build this power up, and I build this love up, and I send it first to myself, and then I send it out to others. Because I really feel that love is really the foundation of who we are, and anything that we do in this world is love. And I feel that love, the power of love, is not only healing, it's very clearing, it's very cleansing, it's very calming. And we get off center when we forget to love ourselves. And so when we can build this love up inside of ourselves, first, we come back to our center, and that can help us with our sensitivity. So that's another thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of your spiritual gifts and your sensitivity, okay? I also drew this, okay, to talk about in terms of love being the foundation of everything we do. So the voice of spirit is communicated through love, okay? And I drew this to show that love is how you communicate with your loved ones on the other side. Love is how you communicate with your own soul and spirit, with the divine, with God, with the universe, whatever you call that greater spirit. Love is how we communicate with our spiritual guides on the other side, our spiritual teachers and guides. Love is how we communicate with our own soul. And when we come from a foundation of love for ourselves, then we open up those spiritual channels to be able to sense the voice of our own soul, the guidance that's coming in through spiritual guides that are connected to us, angels that are connected to us, how we hear the voice of the divine, the voice of spirit. And it comes through the communication of love, okay? One of my teachers said that love, as a medium, love is what draws our loved ones to us. And love is what allows the communication to flow and happen for the medium or for you to be able to communicate with your loved ones on the other side. And I think that is a spiritual gift, is that using your sensitivity in that way. And so the more that you can come from a foundation of self-love, the more you can bring your sensitivity into balance, and the more you will open up to these spiritual gifts. So hi Jerry, hi Christy, I see you've joined. Thanks for joining us. I'm talking about your spiritual gifts in terms of your sensitivity. And earlier in the live, I spoke about how every gift is a spiritual gift. But a lot of the people I work with are particularly sensitive. They have the sensitivity to other people. But what happens is when we're so sensitive to other people, we kind of put ourselves on the back burner sometimes. We allow other people's emotions or their feelings and what's going on with other people to kind of overwhelm us sometimes. And so I was leading people through a guided meditation just before this to help you feel your own power and to come from a place of self-love. And that foundation of self-love is how we hear spirit. And so that's your sensitivity. That's why your sensitivity is actually a gift. When you learn to balance your sensitivity and you can come back to center and to calm and to peace within, then also you begin to see how your sensitivity is actually a gift. And it doesn't have to overwhelm you. And instead, you can feel the emotions of other people. You can have that compassion, but you don't have to take on their feelings and their emotions. You can feel your intuitive voice. You can feel your inner guidance. And then you're coming from a place where you're more grounded in self-love, and then you trust and follow that guidance. But what happens is when we get out of balance, when we have too much going on, our lives are too busy, we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, we get fatigued, it's really hard to be able to hear the voice of spirit, to be able to understand our sensitivity as a gift, because we're in overwhelm. So the more that you can come back to that place within yourself where you feel that peace, and you remind yourself that you need to take care of yourself first, that you need to put yourself on an equal plane with other people, then you can begin really working with your sensitivity as the gift it was meant to be. So what happens is a lot of my clients are actually quite intuitive. Some of them maybe even have intuitive ability beyond themselves, where they may use it in their work. They may have mediumship ability. They may feel things or see things or sense things, or that may be some of you that are on this call right now, or this live right now, or watching the recording. You may have this sensitivity yourself. And so what happens is, as you follow a path of personal growth, of understanding yourself better and what you need to be in balance and what brings you joy, what brings you peace, then you can get to a place where that sensitivity becomes a gift, not only for yourself, but you can use it for other people as well. But part of the journey and the path in the beginning is working with ourself first. So if any of this is resonating with you, if any of you have any questions or comments, please feel free to type it in and it will help me understand if this is hitting home for you. But that's why I wanted to talk about your spiritual gifts. The more that we connect inwardly, the more we connect to our soul, the more we connect to our intuition, we're bringing forward that sensitivity as a gift, as a sense of purpose. That's why I said when we're learning to lead a spirit-led life, where we can feel into the guidance that we're being given. We can feel into the moment of, what is this feeling I'm feeling trying to teach me? You know, is this feeling of overwhelm or of feeling tired or drained or feeling stuck? That's a sign that something needs to shift. And I need to pay more attention to myself, and I need to value who I am more. And I need to give more time and space to what's trying to come forward in my life, what's trying to be born. So I'm reading a comment here from Barbara. Yes, it's making one's gift stronger and being able to help others, exactly. And that's why I wanted to talk about this. When you work with yourself and come from a place of self-acceptance and self-love, these spiritual gifts become stronger. And I call them spiritual gifts. They're just gifts from spirit that we all have. And some of you may be wondering, why am I so sensitive? You know, why are my feelings hurt so easily? Or why am I so kind and giving, but other people, you know, maybe they're not the same way. Maybe they can say things and they don't realize they're hurting other people, or they're a little bit more self-centered, or why am I always the giver? Or why am I always the kind one? And why do my feelings get hurt so much? Well, you maybe are a little bit more sensitive than someone else. But that's okay, because you have a compassionate heart. But a lot of what I see in the work I do is people need to take that compassion and that giving and turn it back on themselves. And that's when you're going to feel the more of the calm come into your life, more of the clarity come into your life. And then you're going to get more of a sense of direction, what I was talking about, the spirit-led path. So that's what happened to me, is I went on a long, many years journey of working with myself around boundaries, around overgiving, of not valuing myself enough. And what happened is my spiritual gifts, my intuition, my mediumship, my ability to work with people became stronger, because I was kind of clearing away the stuff inside of me that needed to be healed or released or let go of. And when we do that, then the clarity comes in. Then the ideas, the information drops in from spirit about what we can do to create this dream, to bring out this purpose, to follow whatever this thing is inside of you that you're feeling called to do. So let's talk about trust, because I know that's the biggest part of all of this, right? It's okay, we can meditate, we can journal, we can work on our boundaries, but how do we learn to trust this inner voice? How do we learn to trust spirit? Well, I know that's not one of the easiest things, but it's been my journey, because I really thought that I was going to do something entirely different with my life. And I had to learn to trust my inner voice to follow this path. So I'm just looking at the comments right now. Yeah, Liz is saying she wants to know how to take care of me and the others around me. Well, what I would say, Liz, is it goes maybe against your nature. Because a lot of people that are probably listening to this live or the recording are givers. We fill our days with, giving at work, giving to partners or spouses, family members, friends, volunteering. Our days are filled with giving. And by the time we reach the end of the day, we're just wiped out. That happened with a client that I was talking to this week. And the only thing I can say to you is you've got to put yourself somewhere in the mix so that you can begin to take care of yourself first. You don't want to get to the place where your body starts to fall apart or to be so drained that you can't even really keep going in the way that you were going. You don't want to get to that point. So some simple things that I've learned to do for me is I have to go back to what makes me feel good. What do I need? For me, I've got to do some kind of regular meditation, even if it's just a few minutes. I like to listen to music that makes me feel inspired. I need exercise. I need walking. Those are things I need. So think about those things that you feel good, that make you feel good, and find time to do that, even if it's just little bits of time. If you're at work, what can you do on your lunch break? I used to years ago eat in a workroom, with other coworkers, and then I take part of my lunch break and I go walking when the weather is good outside, just to get away, just to be peaceful. I just squeeze in a little bit of a workout that I could on the days before I went to work or right after work. Maybe it's just having a little bit of time in the evening where you don't have to be on the computer, or maybe you're not in front of an electronic device or your phone. You just have some silence and you just allow yourself to think, what do I really want in my life? How do I want to feel? And just write, even if it's just for a few minutes, write about that and just reflect on that. Because I know as women, we do a lot of giving. A lot of us have a lot of different roles we're playing and we're really busy. And we really have to listen to our bodies and our feelings about what it is we need to do to take care of us. And there can be lots of signs and symbols from the universe, from the divine. Barbara is writing about, like, she's seeing the number now. Okay? Our numbers, definitely numbers can be signs. But you can get signs from your dreams. Those of you, if you will pay attention to your dreams and write your dreams down, that's a big way that spirit is getting in touch with you, that the divine, that your guides, your soul, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, even your loved ones on the other side. So I'm not an expert in dreams, but when I was getting my master's degree in psychology, I took a dream class from a man who had written a book and was really well known on working with dreams. So start thinking of your dreams like symbology, signs and symbols from your soul. And sometimes your dreams are going to be showing you things that you need to change in your life. Like I've had dreams in the past. I used to have dreams where my teeth would crumble and fall apart, and gum would get stuck to my teeth. And I went to the internet and I started looking up, like, what is this about? What does this mean? And that's something that I still do sometimes. And you have to take it into your own intuition. Like, does this fit? But I found some meanings that made sense to me. This had to do with me needing to be more assertive, to speak my truth. And when I started doing that more, those dreams went away. Or frustration, grinding your teeth, or, that had to do with frustration. What was the frustration? Not being assertive, taking care of myself, not standing up for myself. So what happens is if you write your dreams down, those of you that can remember them, and you keep it like by your bedside, even if it doesn't make sense right now, go back a week later, go back a month later, and you can begin to see how these dreams are showing you things that are going on in your life and giving you some guidance about things to pay attention to. You may be dreaming about having a baby or being pregnant. That may be symbolic of something that you're trying to birth or something that you're trying to bring forward new in your life. Or it may have to do with with your inner child and paying attention more to your inner self. So dreams are a really big way that spirit and our own soul is trying to guide us. And that's another way I've learned to trust spirit, is to pay attention to my dreams. And then when I listen to my dreams and I follow some of the guidance I feel like I'm getting, and I shift things, okay, that helps. Another way I think to trust spirit is to just get into that centered place. For some of you, maybe that's prayer. For some of you, it might be just taking a moment of quiet. Maybe it's just feeling and absorbing the feeling of love. Whatever that is for you, getting to that centered place and asking for help to deal with whatever this challenge that you have in your life. And then knowing that the next thing you can do doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a small thing that you do to start shifting something in your life, paying attention. Because sometimes our life gets really challenging and we have a lot of challenge, so that we'll pay attention to ourselves because we haven't been paying attention to ourselves. And so the more that you can pay attention to yourself and what's going on inside of you, that is really listening to spirit. Trusting spirit is trusting yourself. So, am I going to be supported on this path? Is this the right decision? Am I doing the right thing? These are all questions that come up when we're leading a path and going into something that's unknown, that we don't know. But what I can tell you from experience is, if you feel strongly about something within your own being and in your own heart, and you take the steps toward that, you're going to be supported. There might be challenges, but you will be supported. I can tell you also from experience, if you ignore that feeling and you don't take those steps, you're actually probably going to feel worse. You know, if there's something that you want to do, but you're holding back on it, you're not going to feel good. You're going to feel stuck. And the reason I know that is because I've walked that path where there are things I've known I've needed to do, and I've avoided it out of fear. And I'm going to tell you, doing these videos is one of those things. I avoided it for years. I was just like terrified of getting on camera online, and I had to just go, you know what? I may not be good at this. I may blunder around and bumble around, but I know I need to do this. And I know I need to get what I need to say to help people out to a bigger audience. And I may be saying this to crickets, but I got to do it. And when I started doing it, each time I did it again and again and again, it became a little bit easier to do. It's not like it's completely natural and easy for me to do, but I'm still doing it because I know I need to. I just have this inner calling inside of me to help people with these things because I've been there. I've been through these things and these things in my life that I talk about. So that's why I do these videos, and hopefully helping somebody who's watching it or will watch it later, because I have compassion. I have a lot of compassion for people. And that's where I've learned to take my sensitivity that I was talking about earlier, turn it into a spiritual gift. So instead of hiding out so much like I was in fear, like all the doubts, I don't know if I have anything to say of any value. I don't know if I'm going to sound like a complete fool. I don't know if I can even do this. So I'm going to be honest with you, for the years, I avoided it. The minute that I started doing this and just going, you know what if this stuff is true? I'm going to do it anyway. I started to feel better because I wasn't blocking the inner guidance I was getting to take this step. It felt worse to not do it than to do it. And I'm going to just tell you a short story, and then I'll end this video. I don't want to go on forever. When I was like 6 years old, I had this library book, and we lived in this little town. My mom was overwhelmed. She had 5 kids. She just was overwhelmed, okay? We went to school one day, and we checked out these books, and I brought this book home, and it was probably due in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. But I was afraid to ask my mother to return this book. So I had this book in this drawer of this little table in my bedroom the entire summer. And every time I would think about that book at 6 years old, I just would feel so anxious and scared and afraid. And I was just like, you know, and the weeks would go on and I was just like, oh God, that book. Because I knew it was overdue. Well, one day, because we lived in a small town, there was a knock on the door, and it was somebody from the library that come to our house and said, "Oh, Jeanette has this overdue book." Well, my brother, this is back in like the '70s, put me on the handlebar of his bike, and we biked to the library and I returned that book. And let me tell you, the day I returned that book was the day that burden on my back was released. I was just like, thank God that book is not in my house anymore. And that's what can happen with our fears and our doubts. We just like shove them away, but they grow bigger and they grow bigger and they become really, I think, bigger than they really are. We kind of create this scenario of things that aren't true and we try to avoid it, but when we avoid it, it just grows inside of us. So the more that we can do whatever that is we need to do. And I would say for a lot of you, it's taking care of yourselves, giving yourself time. You're going to feel better. And when you feel better, you're going to get more clarity about what to do next. And you're going to feel less doubtful about your gifts and your purpose and what you're here to do. And that's one of the main things I'm very passionate about in my work, is helping people get clear about their gifts and their purpose and become more confident and believing in what you are here to do and in yourself. Because every one of you has a gift. Every one of you has a purpose, and every one of you is supported and guided by Spirit. I know that to be true. So that's how I want to end this live today. Unless anybody has any other question or any other comment that they want me to address, I want to thank Barbara and Donna and Liz, Christy, Jerry for joining me today. I want to thank anyone else who may have watched this video if it helps you in any way. I send you much love, many, many blessings, and I'll talk to you again. Take care. Bye-bye.